Oh, hey, I have not done a video in 8 months. And you might be asking yourself, Pam, is that because you have not read a single book in the total span of 8 months? And the answer to that question does in fact happen to be yes. I don't know what happened. I was depressed for a while. Time? Who knows? But I do know that I finally finished another book and I can talk about it. And as the title probably already says, it's a really good one. It was One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston, if I pronounced that correctly, which is another sapphic book, and I read it in the span of a day, and I loved it, so I would like to share my opinion on the book. First off, I should probably tell you guys what the whole book is about, and let me use her own words, the author's own words, which is a lesbian time travel subway rom-com. So basically, it's about a 23-year-old named August who moves to New York, and on her subway train she always has to take, she meets this woman called June, who's like this really hot butch lesbian, and she's like, damn, she's really hot and sexy, but she's also kind of weird. And then it turns out June is actually from the 1970s, and she is stuck in that subway train, the queue that they have to take. And then in the book, she has to help June out of that predicament. And if you're thinking, that doesn't really sound interesting or appealing to you, yeah, I agree. I also wouldn't have picked it up if it wasn't part of a book club I'm part of, but it surprised me with how good it was. But let me actually talk about the book now. First off, I'll talk about the things that are non-spoilery, and then I'll tell you guys when I get into the spoilery parts. So, when I started off reading the book, first things first, I love the characters, especially the side characters. They all feel very fleshed out, and they're just, oh my god, they're just so quirky. They're not like other guys, but like they genuinely are really interesting individuals that every single one of them I would love to be able to call my friend, and they all have little things that they do, and they're all so queer in like the weird sense but also the queer sense, and it just, that whole aspect, which is also pretty important in the book, it doesn't focus solely on the romance between the two main characters. It also focuses on August's general feeling of she moved to New York and she has to find a place where she feels like she belongs, and that really resonated within me because I too moved to a bigger city and I am looking for a place to belong in all my queerness. And to read this book and read about how this character finds her queer community and her friends and the parties they attend, and just how weird and wholesome all of it is, that aspect is something that just really did it for me. Like, I was really glad to not only have the two main characters, I was really happy whenever we also got to see the supporting cast around them and see her interacting with her friends and their friends interacting with each other. And it was just great. I do have to say that. It was just great. I just wanted to specifically talk a bit more about, I loved, I don't know, I loved, I'm done hating. Today is about love. It's just the absolute charm and charisma and uniqueness, nerve and talent that the characters exude onto the page, even the supporting characters like her roommates and the drag queens and the people who work with her at the diner or the pancake place. All of them just felt, it just felt so good to read about them and hear their stories and the little parts that we got, and the parties were great, and it just, I got such a sense of queer community and belonging and weirdness, and just living life to the queerest and to the fullest from this book that I have never read anywhere. But I hope I will also someday be that unapologetically queer and go to these amazing parties. Like, I don't know if you can tell, but just thinking about it, I have to smile. I'm very fond of the characters and the scenes and the parties, and it just makes me happy, stupid as that is, it just does. In a general sense, I also really like the writing style of Casey McQuiston. I haven't read the other book, Red, White and Royal Blue, so I didn't know if I would like her writing, but I thought it was... First of all, you could tell that she herself is sapphic. I'm not sure what she is, but she did say that she was queer as well. So you can already tell that. I feel like she really has a good way of writing down the sapphic experience. Like, for example, there is a paragraph about the homoerotic queer friendships that women experience, where you guys kind of are best friends, but you're also a bit in love, but you don't want to ruin what you have, so you don't say anything, and then like the chat is over, and a bitch might have been there. The way she described it was in a very relatable way, and in general you could really get the sense of, it felt very authentic. But that being said, the general lens that this book perceives the queer community through is very wholesome. It's very idealistic. It's kind of like a queer utopia of everybody's gay and a drag queen. So you have like these, I would say, 3 parts to the book. You have the main romance with August, the main character, and June, her love interest on the subway. Then you have the arc of August meeting people and being part of the queer community in New York, and her experiences there, which was, you know, the aspect I just mentioned, which I also really, really liked and resonated with me. And then you have a 3rd arc, which is her family issues, which is the part I was least sold on. Non-spoilery, I can say that August was raised by her single mother, and her mother's brother, so her uncle, is missing and has been missing for like a few decades. And her mother's only focus is finding her lost brother, and she used August in her childhood to get to things and support her and help her with that. So August kind of feels like not seen and only being used, as I said sometimes, so you have kind of a weird dynamic even though they are good friends. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it made sense because her having the experience with the case of her missing uncle helps her with the case of this weird girl on the subway that somehow seems to be stuck in time. So I get why she put it in there, it just didn't really do it for me as much as the other aspects did. And then also in the sense of McQuiston's writing, I have to say I really, really like the way she wrote things. I thought August's crush on June was really well translated, and I could feel myself crushing on her through August's feelings and thoughts. Like, reading it made me giddy and smile, and I was just really, really happy while reading this book, and that is not something I've experienced in quite a while, especially with romance. I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cute, oh they're cute, but like this, I could feel it. I could feel the giddiness and the crush and the, oh my gosh, I don't know. It really worked. It resonated with me, as I already said like 8 times, but it just really did. I'm not sure why. Maybe I just crushed similarly to the author or the character, but I don't know, I could really relate very well. And I also thought that in general, the dialogue was pretty hilarious at times, and in general it was kind of a witty, fun, fresh writing style that I personally quite liked to read. Another aspect I also liked concerning the textual part, writing, whatever, is that at the beginning of every chapter you have some out of text excerpts that kind of can be blog posts, can be Instagram posts that are described, and they all relate some way or another to June because she has been stuck in time. Like, you have a newspaper article here, and it quotes something that Jane said from like 1976. So to have these different points in time with June already existed stuck on that subway was a really cool thing to include. Like, I thought it was quite creative to do that, and it was a thing that I just thought was neat. Something that I also really liked was that while this book is a very light-hearted, wholesome read that I can only recommend, I really liked that the author still made sure to include the fact that, you know, Jane is from the 70s and she was gay in the 70s. So the author does include how different it was to be gay back then and how many more obstacles you had to face. And they, for example, mentioned how Jane was starting to lose a bunch of friends and nobody had a name for it, but it was the beginning of the AIDS crisis in the USA. So to mention all of the bad things that happened as well, you know, like police brutality, general homophobia, some attacks on gay establishments, all of that, to also include that and make sure that, you know, it's not a romanticized, idealized version of the 70s, but to also include that, hey, shit sucked a lot more back then and it wasn't easy to be gay and, you know, out and proud. So I thought it was good for the author to also include that. And relating to this point, in the acknowledgements at the end of the book, you can really tell that the author did quite a lot of research regarding the 70s and gay culture and crises, and also talked to couples. I think she talked to a lesbian couple who was also gay in the 70s. So I feel like you could really tell that the author made sure to inform herself of the 70s and the social issues and things that, you know, Jane would have had to face. And I thought that that was important and good to include, and I'm glad that the author made the research and did that. So I think from now on I will be talking about spoilers or like specific things in the book that I just want to mention because they stood out to me. So if you do still want to read the book, please do. I cannot recommend it enough. I am always a very skeptical person, so whenever there's a book that's being hyped, I'm like, well, I don't think it will be that good. But with this book, I was also, you know, I didn't think it sounded interesting at all when I first got it, but damn, it's really good. I don't know what to say. It's a 5-star read for me. So yeah, if you have not read it yet and you just wanted to hear an opinion, go buy it now. Read it. It's really good, and you're supporting queer authors and queer romances. So if you can, purchase it, just as I did. But yeah, I'll be talking about spoilers from now on, or specific stuff. So that being said, I thought it was absolutely hilarious that Jane just willed the train to stop so that they could have sex just through her lesbian horny electricity power. Amazing, iconic, never been done before. A queen, we stan. No, but I thought that was fucking hilarious that, you know, she just made the train stop to fuck. Iconic behavior. Yeah, the only thing I would say about that scene is that I thought it might have been a bit too vague and boring. Like, at times I was confused what was happening where. Like, I thought they'd already done down there when it was still kissing, and I was like, I don't know. I just thought that, you know, for the first sex scene, it was a bit underwhelming. And it's not that graphic or anything. Like, it's not a hardcore, in detail thing. I just thought it was a bit meh. I like the later one more when they were like semi-public fingering. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that with the YouTube overlords, but you know. I thought that one was more fun. Something that I usually don't like in books is, you know, the conflict that has to happen when they confessed, and then, you know, there has to be some sort of drama. So I was quite surprised that I could actually get somewhat behind this book's romantic conflict drama point. Because it just makes sense that Jane had been going through a lot, which she had mentioned before. So for her to kind of lash out and freak out like that was just very understandable and reasonable. And, you know, they made up relatively soon after. So for a bromance conflict, I thought it was a well executed, making sense one, which is always a plus. An aspect that I thought was so fucking funny and just I don't read a lot of contemporary sapphic or queer novels, so to have Gabe, the annoying cishet man, and see him being made fun of so blatantly and so hilariously, that was so fucking funny to me. I don't know, I'm not used to, you know, seeing cishet annoying man bashing in books. So to read that was really fucking funny, and I am, you know, it's a bit relatable. We all know him. We all don't love him. So regarding the ending, obviously it was a bit cliche with the pancake house had to be bought out or else it would be shut down. So to you know, be like, oh, she inherited just the money that they needed so that it would work out. Oh my gosh. Like, it was quite obvious that her inheritance, at least to me, that her inheritance would be able to pay the rest of whatever would be left. And honestly, I didn't mind. It's just, you know, this is a feel-good book in my opinion, so if things just magically work out, then yeah, let them. Let them be happy, let things work out, and let just stuff go right. Good, amazing, escapism at its finest, please, yeah, work out. Glad it did. Just a bit predictable, but like, yeah, I really didn't care. It was sweet that it worked out, and I'm happy it did. So I think that might actually be all I have to say regarding the book. I'm really glad I picked it up for the book club and I read it, and it's probably the fastest I've read a book in like years. Like, I did not put it down for long this weekend, so yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm happy I read it. I think it's a really good book. I cannot recommend it enough, as I've already said like 1,000 times. But, and I also like the cover art. I think it works well with my personal aesthetic. My tit is popping out. But, you know, I think it works well with me as a person, so it can be a fashionable accessory to let the local suffix know that you're cool and you read gay things that also have cool covers. But yeah, that was a weird voice. But yeah, that was my book review of One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. If you have watched all of this, then thank you very much. That means a lot. It really, really does. I hope I can read more again, but we will see about that. If you have any recommendations of other good books I should read, preferably sapphic, just because that is the vibe I'm going with right now, then please let me know in the comments. If you agree or disagree with my opinion, if you have anything that you didn't like that I liked, or if anything that you liked that I didn't even mention, then yeah, let me know down below, as the YouTubers say. And I might see you in another 8 months. Maybe even sooner than that. Maybe even later. Who knows? Goodbye. Alright. Let's go, huh? Oh, wait, my bra. I shall not look like little slut today. I'm not sure what fell.